The saber-toothed thing, that wasn't a dinosaur. 260 million years ago. South Africa, no grass, no flowers, no birdsong. Birds don't exist yet. Dinosaurs won't show up for another 50 million years. The air smells like wet stone and rotting fern, and the only sounds are things moving through undergrowth that hasn't learned to grow quietly yet. And the thing watching you from the tree line is from your side of the family. Gorgonopsids. Take a dog's skull, widen it, bolt it onto a body halfway between a Komodo dragon and a bear, then push 2 saber canines out of the upper jaw, each one the length of your hand. The biggest, Rubidja, was 3 meters long and built like something that doesn't need to chase you far because it doesn't plan on missing. These were synapsids, the lineage that would eventually produce your skeleton. Right now, in the Permian, that lineage is using its prototype engineering to pin you down and open you up with teeth designed to punch through anything with a pulse. We don't know exactly what they look like on the outside. Scaled, furred, something we don't have a word for, nobody can tell you. What we do know is the bite. Those saber canines weren't for chewing. They were for the first strike, a deep singular puncture through the neck or belly, then holding on while you stopped moving. 1 bite. That's all it needed. The rest was gravity and blood loss. The end Permian extinction killed every single one of them. 90% of all life on Earth, gone. The most effective predator your lineage ever produced before cats existed, erased in what amounts to a geologic afternoon. But the thing about Africa is that when one nightmare dies, something worse is already standing behind it. The most dangerous place in Earth's history, 100 million years ago, southeast Morocco. Forget the desert, this is a tropical river delta soaked by monsoons. The air is so humid you'd choke on it. The water is warm enough to bathe in, except you will never, ever get in that water. This is the chem. And something is broken here. 70% of the large animal fossils from this system are predators. Not prey, not gentle giants, killers. Stacked on top of each other in the same ecosystem like nature forgot to include anything for them to eat except each other. Spinosaurus. 15 meters. A skull like a crocodile's bolted onto a body taller than a double-decker bus. In February 2026, a new species, Spinosaurus mirabilis, was described from Niger, hundreds of miles inland, with a massive scimitar-shaped crest on its skull. The lead paleontologist called it a hell heron. Picture a heron the length of a school bus, standing perfectly still in knee-deep water, then striking downwards so fast the fish never registers what killed it. Now scale that up to things bigger than fish. The debate about whether Spinosaurus dove underwater or waded like a heron isn't fully settled, but the newest evidence says wader. Ambush predator. Standing in the water you thought was safe. Sharing the banks with it, Carcharodontosaurus. 13 meters. Teeth the size of bananas, but flat and serrated. Not built for crushing bone. Built for slicing. Long, dragging cuts that open flesh like a zipper. Its skull has bite marks on the face from another Carcharodontosaurus. These animals were so aggressive they went after their own kind. Carbon isotope work confirms it hunted on land, which means the riverbank is a kill zone from both directions, water and shore. So why are there so many predators in one place? Best answer, the rivers were so stuffed with giant fish, sharks, and coelacanths that the entire food chain ran on aquatic protein. You don't need many herbivores when the buffet is in the water. The less satisfying answer, maybe we're accidentally mixing fossils from different time periods and calling it one ecosystem. Probably both are true. Either way, the chem represents the highest concentration of large predators ever found in a single fossil system. Standing there meant being surrounded. The original Spinosaurus fossils survived 97 million years in the Sahara. They were destroyed in a single night of Allied bombing in World War II Munich. The desert kept them safe longer than most mountain ranges exist. We lost them in an evening. But dinosaurs weren't the worst thing in those rivers. Something else was in the water. And unlike the dinosaurs, its relatives never left. The crocs that didn't stay in the water. You think you understand crocodiles. They wait in the water. They grab what comes close. There are rules. In Cretaceous Africa, there were no rules. Sarcosuchus imperator, 9.5 meters of armored killing machine with a skull 1.6 meters long. Young ones had narrow snouts for catching fish. Adults grew broad, flat skulls designed for clamping onto things much bigger than fish and dragging them under. It shared its rivers with coelacanths the size of great white sharks. Nothing in that water was safe. Nothing near that water was safe either, because the water wasn't where the worst one lived. Turn around. Coprosuchus, boar croc. 3 sets of tusk-like teeth jutting past the closed jaw like a boar from hell. Eyes facing forward, depth perception, the signature of something that chases. Armored snout reinforced for ramming into prey at speed. Legs positioned under the body, not sprawled to the sides. This was a land predator wearing a crocodile's body plan. Estimates put it at 15 to 25 miles per hour. That's not confirmed from observation, but the skeleton is screaming, runner. Everything about it says it chased you down on open ground, hit you with an armored skull, and then the tusks did the rest. Then there's Leganosuchus, pancake croc. 6 meters long. A head flat as a manhole cover. It lay in the shallows with its mouth open. For hours. If something wandered in, the jaws shut. That's the whole animal. No chase, no ambush. Just patience, and a mouth the size of a coffee table, waiting in the exact spot you'd step to avoid the other two. Stand on a Cretaceous riverbank in Africa. Sarcosuchus in the water you can't see into. Coprosuchus in the undergrowth you can't see through. Pancake croc, under the shallow water you assumed was empty. Every direction is already taken. Every safe zone is a lie. And all of this, the saber-toothed, the bus-length dinosaurs, the galloping tusked crocs, none of it was personal. Those animals didn't know you. Couldn't know you. That changes now. They were hunting us. This is where it stops being a tour and starts being a crime scene. Meganterion, saber-toothed cat. About the weight of a large man. Solitary. Patient. It waited above trails in the dark, rock ledges, low branches, anywhere with a downward angle, and it dropped onto whatever walked underneath. Isotope analysis from Swartkrantz Cave in South Africa confirms it ate hominins, not occasionally. Regularly enough to show up in the chemistry of its bones. Your direct ancestors, including Paranthropus robustus, were a food source. For decades, a different cat called Dinophilus took the blame as the specialist primate killer. Then the chemistry came back and cleared it completely. Dinophilus was innocent. Meganterion was the one pulling your ancestors off the path and into the dark. You never heard it land. Pachycrocata brevirostris, giant short-faced hyena. 160 kilograms, the weight of a lioness with bone-crushing jaws, more powerful than any land carnivore before or since. At a cave site in China, over half the Homo erectus bones show gnaw marks from this animal. Not tooth scrapes. Gnaw marks. The slow, systematic kind. The kind that means it was sitting over the body and working through it. Taking its time because nothing was going to take the meal away. These hyenas didn't scavenge humans, they collected us. Climate killed them around 800,000 years ago. Nothing alive was strong enough. Crocodilus anthropophagus. Found at Olduvai Gorge. The species name means human eater, and that's not dramatic license, that's the taxonomic description. A Homo habilis foot bears its tooth marks. Your ancestor went to the water's edge to drink. Something lunged from water that looked empty. They got the foot out. They didn't get the rest. The Taung child. 3.3 years old. Australopithecus africanus. An African crowned eagle drove its talons through the child's eye sockets, lifted it off the ground, and fed. That kill signature was identified in 2006, 80 years after the skull was discovered. Thousands of scientists had held it, studied it, published papers on it. Nobody saw the puncture marks until someone finally compared them to what modern eagle kills look like on monkey skulls. 80 years. The evidence was staring out of the eye sockets the entire time. SK-54, juvenile Paranthropus robustus, 2 puncture marks in the skull. The spacing matches, leopard canine width exactly. A leopard jawbone found in the same cave fits the holes like a key in a lock. Now here's what should change how you think about all of this. The Cradle of Humankind near Johannesburg, the richest source of early human fossils anywhere on Earth, is a collection of predator kill sites. Not settlements, not burial grounds, kill sites. The caves where we find our oldest ancestors are the caves where they were dragged to be eaten. Every major fossil discovery of early humanity in southern Africa exists because a predator left behind what it didn't finish in a place where bones could fossilize. We didn't find our ancestors, we found their predators' leftovers. The extinction nobody talks about. You've heard the version where Africa kept its megafauna. The elephant survived, the lion survived, everything else collapsed, but Africa held. That's a nice story. It's also wrong. Africa lost at least 24 large mammal species. Pelorivus, a giant buffalo with horns wider than a car, Civatherium, a giraffid built like a draft horse, and Rusingorix, an antelope with hollow bony crests in its skull that may have let it blast low-frequency calls across the savannah. A sound like a foghorn made of bone. A sound that stopped thousands of years ago and nobody alive has heard. The decline started 4.6 million years ago. Climate drove most of it, grasslands swallowed forests, and everything that needed cover died or shrank. Africa is the one continent where you can't simply blame humans because African animals co-evolved with us. They had millions of years to learn what a person holding a rock meant. They learned to run. They learned to watch. That's why Africa still has elephants and North America doesn't. The elephants saw us coming. But the most recent wave, 13 to 6,000 years ago, hit grazers hardest, and we can't fully rule ourselves out for those final losses. The Turkana Basin once had 5 coexisting crocodile species. Today it has 1. The Nile crocodile. 5 meters. The animal that already makes you nervous near any body of water in Africa. That's the small survivor. That's what's left after the big ones disappeared. What you see on a safari isn't what Africa made, it's the remnant. Africa wasn't just the most dangerous continent. It was the continent that made us dangerous back. Every fear response locked into your nervous system, the flinch at movement in tall grass, the refusal to let your guard down in total darkness, the jolt when still water moves, that's not anxiety. That's not a glitch. That's 2 million years of being hunted by things that were better at killing than you were at surviving. Burned so deep into your wiring that your body still runs the software even though the predators are gone. The Pleistocene isn't over, it just moved indoors.